Welcome to this week's edition of It Is Chaile Time. Chepo, it's lovely to have you back and see you again. How are you up to?
Nice to see you too. I'm good. Actually, I started my week very busy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. What do you mean? Monday you were off?
I started my week. So you see now, missing that one day now, it means a lot of things for me.
You had a long weekend.
I had a long weekend. It was nice. I enjoyed, doing my DJ thing. But
Can you remember when was this? I think it was Monday morning. I sent you a WhatsApp early in the morning. Are you off today? Do you remember?
Yes, I remember.
I know you were off. But I had a CCMA case, so I was just like trying to get out of it. I was just like hoping you say, yes, I'm off, but is there anything you would like me to do for you, sir?
I was very far. I couldn't do anything for you, sir.
Yeah, I thought that too. Normally when you're off, you're like in Japan or something.
Yeah, so I was not around. How are you?
I'm good. I need to just give some, before we come to you, because you're going to talk to us about, I think, employment or recruitment issues, I suppose.
Oh, yes.
But before we get there, I've got two things I just want to mention. The one is, I don't know, this sounds quite silly, I suppose, especially if you look at our audience. Most of our audience are HR and related kind of professionals. So they're going to go like, we know that. But you will be surprised, Chepo, how many employers out there actually don't know that when you dismiss somebody, you must hold a disciplinary hearing, especially if it's not for misconduct. They think that based, in this 2024, and the CCMA, I think it's been going since 95 or something like that, that after all these decades, that people still don't know that the dismissal must be procedurally and substantively fair. Meaning that if your employee steals R1 million from you, you can't just show him the door. Or you can if you have a huge blank check to sign later, but not in terms of the law, that is. So you still need to, if it's misconduct, follow a Schedule 8.4 disciplinary inquiry for misconduct. And I had two cases in the last 2 weeks. One company is our existing company in KZN, by the way.
Yeah.
And we always do hearings for them, but they just chase this guy away because he threatened, well, this is in a restaurant, he threatened to poison the food of the customers. Okay, it's bad, I get it. But I just chased the guy away. And now he went to the CCMA. So there's a jurisdiction issue anyway. So, and then when I spoke to him, I'm like, but we always do hearings with him. Yeah, but what are we supposed to do? I mean, you want to poison. I'm like, I had one up, And the second issue is a new business, as ad hoc client who just phoned me. They also just chased the guy away. It's just amazing how in 2024, the CCMA and the Labour Relations Act have been going on for decades. A lot of employers still feel that if you do something wrong, they can just chase you away. Like the other one, where if you go on maternity leave, they just email you dismissal.
Yeah, the episode we had the other time. But I'm gonna tell you again and again and again, and this is what I do when you normally put me on the spotlight and say, tell the people about Effectus Harmony, what we do. So my slogan at the end, after I explain who is Effectus Harmony, what we do, what is our strong points and stuff. At the end, I will always say, employers focus on the zeros. We will focus on the do's and don'ts in terms of labor laws and other things. So the answer to what he's saying, and I can see he's stressing. Employers, they focus on the zeros. If 200 has got 2 zeros, they want to make sure that before the end of the year, there's
few extra
zeros. It's like we're talking 200,000 or 2 million. That's where their focus is. They don't really care.
But the procedure is so simple. It is so easy, actually, in terms of law.
Yes, because you know it. He doesn't want to know it.
But some of them are clients for years now, and we do hearing after hearing after hearing, but one day they just feel differently in their heart.
Yes, they're doing that and say, out of my store. Toby will handle this.
We will fix it. That magic wand.
Yeah. So that's what they do constantly, and then I don't think it will change anytime soon.
So there's no such thing in South Africa. Mostly 99% of the time, that you can dismiss an employee without following a fair procedure. I know Schedule 8.4 speaks about exceptional circumstances, but mostly you don't go there, okay? So in your mind, you must know, basically, regardless of what the employee is doing from a misconduct perspective, if they commit misconduct and it's dismissible, you must have a Schedule 8.4 discipline inquiry. But then the second issue I just want to mention quickly, there's a bit of I've learned something new in this last month or two. You know, I briefly touched on this previously, probably about 2-3 weeks ago. I've mentioned about the importance of pre-op minutes, the pre-op process, and I mentioned that these day parties, when they do a pre-op, I'm not going to go exactly, maybe I'll touch base quickly for those of you who don't know. You know, before you have arbitration, you're actually supposed to have a pre-op conference where the parties come together and they sign an agreement in terms of issues that are in agreement and issues that are in dispute that the commissioner must decide. And the reason for that is to shorten arbitration. So if we can agree in advance, this guy is an accountant, as an example, then we're not going to sit for 2 days arguing about whether he's an accountant or not at arbitration, because it's already agreed in advance, your salary. But then also, if it is a dismissal dispute, you know, to what extent the dismissal was procedure and substantively fair, if there are any agreements in that regard, or disagreements, and whatever issues must be decided at one. And also, I suppose, you know, the severity or the appropriateness of dismissal as a sanction. And then when you sign that agreement, that becomes a legally binding document. So you can't sign off on pre-op and later in arbitration, oh, I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean it that way. You don't change your pre-op signed minutes in arbitration. So that's a very important process. And I think what I've learned now also is, again, I've always known this, but I think this is the first time I've experienced something special. So I mentioned 2-3 weeks ago in one of the Chaile times, I had this situation. Now, in pre-op, normally what people are doing is normally the legal representatives of both parties coming together, either in person or online over Zoom or Teams or whatever. Or these days, what we also do is just correspondence, you know. You email your pre-op minutes to the other party and they make changes, email back, you look at it, make some changes if you want to, email it back, and eventually you guys sign off. So that actually happens quite a lot. So in this case, we actually got a ruling from the CCMA that we must do the pre-op. So the attorney of the employer, I was representing the employer, he emailed me pre-op minutes. And in that case, the employer was dismissed on 6 charges. Some of the charges relating to gross dishonesty, and so quite severe charges. This employee was very, very high in the company. And so he emailed me. And it was quite strange. This document was like it was literally a 1-page document. Normally pre-op minutes like 10, 15 or 20 pages, you know. So I was just like, okay, you know, I suppose it had all the key elements in there, just a much shortened version. And in it, he stated that their view is the employee is not guilty on the charges and the dismissal is too harsh. I look at the document, it was a Word document. I changed it to the employee agreed that he is guilty on all the charges, but they're only questioning the sanction, okay? And that the procedure itself was fair. I emailed it back. I was expecting an email back, and I still in the email said, listen, I've made some changes, you know, look at it, if you agree, sign, and we can sign it off, whatever. He emailed it back, signed. I signed, sent it back, and he sent it to the CCMA. But now the thing is, Tsepo, he accepted everything I've put in there.
What happened at the arbitration?
Well, this is now the thing. So the last time I spoke about it, this is basically where I stopped. And I said, I was so shocked because our versions are like worlds apart. He's saying the guy's not guilty of the 6 charges. I'm saying he is. And now he's signing an agreement. Now I'm like, no, the thing is this. There's this court case, Chaile, where the Labour Court said that no amount of mitigation will save you if you've been dismissed for gross dishonesty. This guy just admitted, he's like the second highest in the organization, admitted to severe acts of gross dishonesty, that he's guilty of it. That is what he's admitting to. So the guy signed off. So I'm like, didn't you read? Did you just sign off and thought it's whatever he'd sent to me? Or did he actually read and realize, okay, He probably doesn't have a case because, in the hearing itself, the employee didn't really have a case where the employer's got witnesses and whatever. I don't know. I've got no idea. So this is what I spoke about last time. So anyway, so then we had the case last week. Tsepo, this was so interesting. Oh my goodness. So we sat there, I representing the employer, lawyer representing the employee. Commissioner asked, okay, so are there any preliminary issues? So I said, no, not really. Maybe we can just read the pre-op so we can all just get on the same page, Commissioner said, yeah, okay. So we took out the pre-op, myself and the lawyer was just sitting there, he didn't read anything, and then the commissioner. So I read, and when I got to, the employee agrees, guilty of all 6 charges. Suddenly out of the corner of my eye, I can see that lawyer opening that bundle of documents. But he's like professionally shaking. And he's just like, now the client is sitting this side, says, oh sorry, his face was this side. So the client can't see he's stressing, so he's just reading. So he's just keeping quiet. Inside me, I'm like, my heart is like, doof, doof, doof. I don't know what's going to happen now. Because maybe he's going to protest, or I've got no idea. The commissioner's like, oh, okay, so the verdict is not in question. In other words, the employee is guilty of all the charges. We're only going to argue whether the dismissal for these charges was fair. The lawyer says, yes, Mr. Commissioner. Dismissal was not fair. So he's now obviously professionally boosting this thing to tickle the ears of his client who doesn't know legal stuff. So the client doesn't know what's going on here now. So he's obviously now aggressively saying it was not fair, Mr. Commissioner. He's focusing on the unfairness, but he doesn't explain what's happening here. So, okay, I was like, what hit me now? Because he's sort of, in a way, signed his case away. Anyway, so we continued. And eventually it was my opportunity to cross-question the employee.
Yes.
And I put it to him a hypothetical scenario. Sir, a person so high in the company is actually guilty of these charges. Do you think it is reasonable to dismiss a person like that? You know what he told me? Yes, within the first month already he must be fired. I was like, I'm like, but you, that person. He's like, no, I'm not. Yeah, you are guilty of these charges. No, I'm not guilty of these charges. But you said you're guilty of these charges. Huh? Where did I say I'm guilty of these charges? So I said, yes, sir. Then I opened the pre-op minutes. I opened that pre-op minutes and I said to him, do you know what this document is? Yeah, it's a document that says I must be here today. So I said, no. Pre-op is a contractual agreement between me and your lawyer in terms of the issues inter alia we agree on. Here, let's read. I agree I'm guilty on all the charges. You know, that guy, he looked at his lawyer.
Did he turn red?
And the lawyer was like melting under the table. You know what the lawyer said? We are not here to discuss the issues, only whether a dismissal is reasonable. So obviously I had a professional exit there, you see. So there was no commotion between the two of them there. But my toes crawled like this of excitement and enjoyment, And there I learned again, Labor law is about detail. You must pay attention. So I don't know what happened there. I can only now see and conclude that the lawyer probably didn't read the document when I said it back there. I don't know. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, you must take pre-op and a flow of documentation and communication between parties very serious. Don't ever think you know it all and that I've got this. No, you don't.
But I can tell you that he was the one who was leading that idea of pre-op in the first place.
He was the one who led that idea.
He's the one who drafted the whole document.
He drafted everything.
Because
I just changed it in one sentence. And it was a one-page document. How difficult can it be? And I still in the email told him I made changes. I didn't tell him what changes, but I mean... Talk to me. What are we actually talking about today?
I'm so fascinated by this because, lawyers tend to bully us when we are in this
Sepo, there's another arbitration we did. When I saw this, this guy he's actually not mentally right, no? He's actually, he had a stroke and blah, blah, he's actually mentally not fine. And he's not represented. So I sent him the stuff too. So I said, I'm not trying, let's try this again. So I had to send him a pre-op. Not that guy. He's mentally unstable, but he may change this. No, you're talking shit here. No. So I'm like, whatever.
Okay, what I wanted to talk about today is, do you think it's a good idea to employ someone because you know them, but you don't know if they are really experienced? You don't have, if they are qualified. Okay, sometimes yes. People sometimes they can do the work with experience without qualification, but without doing a thorough check on them. That's my question. Do you think it's ideal or it's a good idea to do that? In a nutshell, it's nepotism.
Yeah, you see, this is an interesting topic of conversation. In the era we live in, science is exploding, and you get all these psychologists trying to put us in a bit of a can, saying you can only employ these kind of people. So if you want an accountant, go do a psychometric assessment or a habit assessment. I suppose there are hundreds of kinds of psychometric assessments to establish whether this guy is the correct accountant. So they put us this in the box. Oh, this guy psychometrically is not having the correct habits, or that guy, he doesn't have the correct personality profile, he doesn't have the right skills and all this kind of things. So I'm like, and this is me personally now, I'm not a psychologist, and I'm sure they're going to hate me now, but who cares? It's my Chaile time, I can say what This is how I feel, So sometimes I just feel that, science is putting us so in a box of who can be successful, who not. That we are actually starting to discriminate and say, listen, no, you can never be. I mean, think about this. This is going to be a long Chaile time. Think about this. You can so dom grond wees, né? You can be dumb inside your head here, okay? You apply for a high position in a company. Let's say, and this is an example, I'm not reflecting to anybody personally here. You can apply to a company to be the financial manager. They can say, you're not qualified enough. Tomorrow you can have a party and then you become the Minister of Finance.
Yes.
Go figure that out.
Actually, I have...
Huh? You don't have the skills in the private sector to be a manager in finance, but you've got now the skills to be managing the country. Now you're president of the country. I'm not saying Ramaphosa is dumb. Please, guys, and I'm not reflecting to any minister. I'm talking about the principle here. I looked at the elections and I saw the journalists asking all these people questions, and some people are smart.
Yes.
They give proper substance in the answers, and other people, it's absent. Then I'm like, that's where I realized, but listen, wow. In the private sector, you won't survive, but then you're in government. Now you are an MP. I'm like, but that's also coming to your point now. Science say that person can't be an MP. And maybe, and that's probably also wrong, because that person, even though he appears not to be too intelligent, who say he can't be an MP? Who's really saying that? And that's my point here. So to answer your question, is nepotism right or wrong? I suppose there is some wisdom for or against it. I suppose there can be a lot of problems if you employ family members and friends and all these kind of things. But personally, I don't think we must lock it out scientifically to the extent to say not at all, because the fact of the matter is that other person is still a human. And if I look at my own personal journey of development, I came to realize that I am part of the human species, which means I'm on top of the food chain on this planet and up to now the universe. We haven't found an alien yet. That means I have the intelligence to change, to learn, to do things better. So let's challenge the status quo to say, you mustn't employ nepotism or whatever the case may be. It may just be the best recruitment decision you've made in your life. But that's probably not what you want to talk about. You want to talk something negative about it.
No, I don't want to say
I've now said the positive things.
I don't want to say anything negative.
I know it can go south quite bad.
I just posed a question of, is it a good idea? Because about 3 days ago, and including yesterday where I come from, I experienced something, and I learned to find out that actually the person that I was chairing the hearing is somehow related to the owner's friend or somewhere.
Friend, family,
Friends,
whatever.
family, something. But it seems like this employee has this history of, because apparently it's a few months ago, I don't know what, knuckles, what do you call these things? At some point,
Your knuckles, yeah.
Yeah, he was so bruised here, he couldn't even lift a thing. So I think those were the red flags to show you that this guy actually, and then you take him and you put him in a position of managing a certain facility where it's, I think that facility is upper class, you know? You must look the part, you must play the part, you must...
So they operate in a niche market. I know
Yes,
you're talking
you
about
understand.
in a niche market, high upper class.
You,
It's your more discerning clients.
you understand. And then, when you address people, even your seniors, you must address them with a little bit of intellect. And then, I'm not saying you must pretend not to be who
you must
you
pretend.
are. No, you understand.
You are on a class of your own.
Yes. See, but it seems like that guy's the way opposite.
Wrong class.
He comes to work late, and then in that complex there's a strict rule that you can't open late. If you open late, you're gonna get fined, something like that. You're gonna get fined from the complex and stuff. So he comes late, and then now employees, the juniors, are coming late, and then when the owner walks in, it's like, open the store, and then people are coming 15 minutes, 20 minutes late, and he asks them, why are you coming late? They say, look around. Say, the person who's supposed to open the store initially does not come to work in time. So it doesn't even give us courage to come early, because we know we're going to stand outside for like 10 to 15, 20, 30 minutes. You understand? So now that's where my question was like, after I did everything, applied everything, sent out the report, and everything.
The hearing, you did the hearing.
I did the hearing and then gave the outcome and everything. So on my way driving home, I finished at around after 4, very late yesterday. So I drove, stuck there on the R21 convoy there, and I'm asking myself, sometimes is it worth it employing people that
And what did this guy do besides not the late coming?
Besides the late coming,
what's the base, the issue here really, the core issue?
he threatened the owner.
How?
Apparently the owner, the way he spoke to him was not appropriate. And he said to the owner, you know what, if you have a problem, come on, let's take it outside, because we need to address this elephant in the room. Come.
Family member now. I'm going to murder you.
Yeah, I'm going to murder you. Come. If you want to talk to me that way, let's step outside and I'm going to murder you.
See, that's not the negative part of it. Family members.
You see? Now, the most severe one was, there were new employees, whereby this guy must make sure that they have access cards. And then if you're going to take long, actually the business can be fined, 21,000 per person. So there's like 3 employees whom him as a manager has to make sure he liaises with the center management, submit documents in order for those employees to get access cards. But he took his own time. And then almost the employer was hit by that 21,000 times 3. You see?
Good appointment or bad appointment? Good nepotism or bad nepotism?
And he doesn't know the system. I think they're using the system GAP.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't know. And he was given training. He was sent to do training. And he also stated that, no, I previously worked with the system. But instead of doing a payout, he does pay-ins. They even took away that responsibility from him, because also, as a senior person, he can't do cash up at the end of the day, end of day cash up, those kind of things. So, bad appointment or good appointment?
Bad appointment.
So you understand where I'm coming from with this. I'm not saying people must lock their doors in terms of, they are brilliant people. Okay, I'm going to make a typical example. How many times you went and fetched me with your hand and say, come, join me, come sit here next to me?
Was that not after I fired you a long time ago?
After you fired me. After you fired me.
We worked together in corporate many years. This man and myself, I don't know, it's 15 or 20 years now. We know each other, and we've been working together for extremely long. But we were at corporate at one stage. Your float was short.
My float was short.
They chased you away.
Yes. So that's after you fired me.
But that's a long time ago.
And then you moved to another company, and then
Come back.
Then we hit by COVID. I went to work somewhere.
But you know, Chaile, let me just tell you now, and you probably know this, but in that company we worked for,
Yes.
it falls from the top. So when your float was short that day, it was either my neck on the line or yours.
Yes.
Your name was Mr. Nicky. So it wasn't entirely my decision, to be honest with you, even though I was the senior manager, but still.
Yes. No, that I know for a fact. So now COVID hit, I went away somewhere again. 1 year, 6 months after that, he went and take me again. Now we are here today. You see now, I'm not a bad appointment, but I've been taken by a hand. I'll be honest. I don't know when was last time I had my CV.
Yeah, but you see, this is actually nepotism. Between him, it's nepotism. You see, we're family, no?
Yeah, we are family.
We're brothers, no? Some people say I'm a black man caught up in a white skin, huh?
So, but yeah, what I'm literally saying is that even if you're gonna do nepotism, but you know, hence, in my time when I was still doing recruitment for this other company we used to work for, I would target young people, you know, because young people are easy to manage. Even though sometimes they are difficult, they are opinionated, but they are easy to manage. You are able to groom them. When I started working with you in 2008, I think I was only 22 years old or 23.
It's a long time ago.
You see? I'm almost 40 now.
Are you almost 40?
I'm almost 40.
Sure.
You see?
I'm almost 50.
So I'm almost 40 now. You can see that I got groomed at a reasonable age.
Let's say I'm 50. I'm 49. November is my birthday. I'm 50. When people look at me like, you're 50. I'm like, yeah, look at my skin is nice and soft. I'm young.
Yeah, you look
young.
You look good.
I look
for your age.
I look great for my age. Ek lyk soos 'n jong bok nog, 55.
So this is what I'm saying. You see, now I got groomed and then I learned and I made mistakes and then I got fired at some point and then I got taken back, you understand? So that's a room for that. But if you're going to take someone in their 40s and then it's not easy.
But that's a generalization.
No, I'm not saying everyone.
You get flipping radical 40 guys, they and women, they learn still a lot though. I suppose if you have to generalize, then I know what you mean. They can be hard-headed, set in their ways, not going to change. They think they know it all, whatever the case.
You understand? And then no one is going to tell me, not even my
brother.
That's
not me. I'm like a chameleon. I change like this. I learn a lot.
Yeah, but there's those people that even my brother-in-law cannot tell me. And you're going to go and tell your friends that today you wanted to say this to me, but you forget that this is the very same person who's paying your salary at the end of the month. You understand what I'm going?
I've got family members, hey? The one can't tell the other one.
Actually, it took me back to, we did a Chaile time and then you said you had I don't know if it was a meeting or a hearing for the owner's son who was just saying.
Oh, yeah, that one, yeah.
You understand?
It was a counseling, yeah.
Bad appointment or good appointment?
Yes, yeah. In a way, it's a brilliant appointment, their family, because he's really good looking and he is actually very intelligent. He's an accountant and he's actually good.
But he's arrogant.
Attitude. Oh my goodness, just such a snotty attitude.
So you see now there's a thin line now between good and bad there. Yes, you say he's brilliant and what, but the attitude and how he behaves and how he treats people. You understand? So yeah, I guess it will be left with a question mark. I don't know. Guess it will be.
I think sometimes you do good appointments and sometimes not so good appointments.
Whether it's nepotism or not. Because I think we remember we had this one guy we used to work with.
Sometimes family members can be very successful together, you know.
There's this guy we worked with at the cinema there.
I don't say cinema name.
Yeah, no, at the cinema there. And he was very brilliant when it comes to speaking and talking and everything and then selling himself. But when it comes to work, he was not doing anything.
I must say, there is a name popping up in my mind.
Just don't say it.
Didn't I eventually fire him too?
Yes, you did. You see, also it took me back to when I was still at logistics, they employed a senior manager. You know what that guy was doing? He was collecting information. Not even sitting in his PC and try to understand what is happening, collect information. What have you done? What have you done? What? And he goes and gives the director that information. But I know that director was clever because he created the whole system himself and everything. At some point he got in hot waters because he did not know what he's talking about. He's just collecting second-hand information and feeding it to the bosses. So you understand, sometimes it's not even nepotism. It's actually, I actually think it's all about whether you do a good appointment or a bad appointment. So we'll leave it with a question mark.
Is it okay to employ family members and friends? I think that's the question. I think some of us will say, no, scientifically not a good thing, or from a policy or a risk perspective, not a good thing. Others are going to say, it's a fantastic thing, you can at least trust the people. They say, better the devil you know than the one you don't know. Nah. So, food for thought, what do you say?
Yeah.
If you want to, you can put the comments there. Let's continue the conversation, and thank you for joining us this week. Tepo, thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.